Hello again, and welcome to another show of Grace Notes with Town of Yorktown Supervisor Michael Grace. I'm your host, Bruce Apar of Chase Media Group. And Supervisor Grace, you know, a very nice lady who's a big fan of the show named Lisa, who I think you know, made a suggestion. In fact, her last name is very similar to yours. She made a very good suggestion, actually, that...
I mean, the boss chimed in.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes, the boss chimed in. And with a very good idea that we're going to immediately adopt, because it really will, I think, be good for everybody watching the show, and talk about some of the upcoming events and meetings happening in Yorktown that people should be aware of. And as we go through them, you know, you can just comment as you like, you know, wherever it's appropriate. And we do want to mention these are all on the town website, yorktownny.org, which actually in short order, there's a lot more events up there. It's really good. I'm noticing that there's a lot of people, a lot of organizations are posting their events. And of course, the first thing, Thursday, February 23rd at 10 a.m., you're hosting the Economic Development Summit.
Yeah,
right here in the boardroom.
Right. And we look like we should have a very nice turnout of both property owners and government officials.
All the way up to
the governor's
hopefully a representative from the governor's
office. We got a call today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so a representative of the governor's office is coming down. I think he selected somebody from DOT, high up in DOT, to come down, which is really what we need.
Right.
So that's good. We're hopeful Nan Hayworth will be here, or somebody from her office. I know Astorino's sending up somebody from their economic development agency out of the county. Steve Katz, Greg Ball's office, and local officials as well. So it should be a good turnout, hopefully.
Now does this affect, you know, I know to some extent neighboring towns like Cortland and Peekskill, or not yet?
No, and I actually, I mean, if we, you know, it's a presentation of what the town we would like to see. That's long overdue. You know, actually, if you look at the history of it, the New York state taxpayers in one form or another paid, I think it's almost close to $3 million to study that Route 202 corridor.
Right.
And those studies have just gathered dust. So now it's try to push forward what will be, I think, you know, is a very good idea. It's consistent with recent legislation passed by by New York State, which is the Smart Growth Public Infrastructure Policy Act, which really has to do with state funding of infrastructure targeted towards blighted areas or downtown areas, areas that are needing infrastructure to be revitalized, and it's sort of an anti-sprawl legislation. And so it actually fits very well with that those new guidelines for infrastructure funding. It's also an opportunity to do a lot of environmentally positive things, and not just for Yorktown, but for the overall community. We think if we push this, it's going to create a good degree of private investment in the corridor. And interestingly enough, actually, a statistic out of the Smart Growth of Public Infrastructure Policy Act is that for the type of commercial industrial development that would be spurred on by this infrastructure improvements, for every dollar of revenue generated to the local government, the cost for generating that dollar statistically will only be 29 cents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so that's a good return on investment.
Big return on investment. Yeah. And actually, we think it's going to even be a bigger return because what we'll do is really make good use of that roadway, both for purposes of getting traffic flowing in an east-west direction, which has always been master planned. It's been in the state plans for a long period of time. But also, we'll spur on development on the north side of the road. Right. So right now you have what we call a single loaded road. Only the south side is is functioning in terms of creating ratables or business opportunities. The north side is not.
It's bare. It's barren, basically.
Right. And the infrastructure cost is basically halved.
Right.
In terms of, so if you spur development on the other side of the road, all the infrastructure cost is borne by both sides of the road. So it's a double loaded road instead of a single loaded road. We'll also be able to get traffic moving through on an east-west direction a lot better. It should alleviate some of the congestion on Route 6. And we think the quality of businesses and commercial development that this type of infrastructure improvement will attract, it will be sort of the higher-end commercial type of development rather than what I would consider the lower end, which is car dealerships, et cetera, because it'll be a underutilization of the property, using it for parking lots, essentially. So it's got a lot of excitement. It's consistent with a lot of these principles of smart growth. It's the new urbanization type thing.
Right.
And it's going to. It's really the last. It is Yorktown's blight.
Right.
And has been Yorktown's blight for decades now.
Yeah, with that vacated motel that's been over there, for so long.
Right,
it's an eyesore.
You have that. You have the car dealerships that have, based upon
the gas station, the gas station that's been in disuse. Yeah.
Right. So it's got a lot of. There's a lot of real good potential for a big return on investment in terms of public dollars, public infrastructure dollars.
And we should, by the way, we should clarify, just to not assume anything on the part of the audience, that we are talking about 202 from the Taconic west to Lexington Avenue.
Right. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the the preliminary response we got, or the RSVPs returns we've gotten. So it looks like it should be a good audience.
And I think we should also clarify, Supervisor. I know actually, at least as of the other day on the town website for this particular event, it said something that, well, I could read it to you. The town board would like to hear your thoughts concerning the economic viability of this corridor. However, that's not entirely accurate, right? Because you've said this is not a public comment meeting.
Well, it's not. It is and it isn't. I'm gonna put it that way. It isn't a decisional meeting in terms of what the town board will do. It's basically it's to revisit what has been longstanding plans for 202. It's a push to get some state or federal infrastructure money to address a lot of those problems, which are going to have to be addressed at some point in time. And we think we have a window of opportunity here to both get federal, maybe state funding, and private investment dollars all at the same time, and to produce a product at the end of the day that would be aesthetically pleasing, and environmentally green, so to speak, because we're dealing with a lot of stormwater runoff. There has to be a regional plan for that. So there's a lot of things that are all coming together all at once. So it seems like it's reaching its critical mass, and I think the opportunity is now. And I think the political will is there.
Yes.
And again, the most important ingredient in this whole mix is the private investment dollars, and they seem to be on verge of showing up as well. But so I think the idea for the forum is really an invite to the stakeholders on the 202 corridor. So we want to get their feedback as to what and their cooperation and their support in pushing this forward. And these are the property owners that are affected. Obviously, any real future planning, et cetera, is always going to be open up to studies and public comment, et cetera. But a lot of the studies have already been done. So a lot of the public comment has already been in place for years and years and years. So it's really a matter of resurrecting it, blowing the dust off it, pushing it forward, looking at the upside of both of job creation, economic vitality, tax relief for town of Yorktowners, because it's going to create revenues to the school districts within the town. So and eliminate some of the expenses that otherwise would have to be paid by public funds in terms of creating the necessary infrastructure for drainage, roads, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So,
So it will obviously be a benefit to taxpayers by
yes.
not raising their taxes.
And we
commensurately.
we really want to do it right. I mean, we want to do it, and so that when we do walk away from it, we'll be all very proud of what we've accomplished.
Yeah. So what happens, again, I just want to make sure anybody watching the show prior to the meeting, understands that if they want to get up and comment, that's not really the appropriate time, right?
Well, we're looking for the stakeholders,
Right. So, okay. Yeah.
essentially. So obviously we want to hear from them. We want to talk to them. It's going to be an ongoing conversation. This is not.
Right.
This is just the preliminary meeting or forum, I should say. And obviously we're going to want public input, and every which way we're going to want it.
Right.
But tomorrow is not the day to,
February 23rd.
Right,
Yeah.
to come up, and it's not an open town board meeting in terms of coming up and as a courtesy of the floor type situation where you're going to just be able to have an open mic and speak and speak and speak. We're focusing it on the stakeholders. We're focusing it on the public officials.
And it will be on Yorktown Government TV,
Yes,
right?
it'll be streaming live.
And then it'll be rebroadcast.
Right,
So
right.
people at home can watch it and see what everybody has to say.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and
right.
the ongoing conversation can always happen at courtesy of the floors,
Right.
in
Right.
the future. So we're not shutting anybody out.
Right.
We encourage the public to come
Right, and observe,
and
right,
observe
right.
and listen. Because that's what I intend to do.
Right.
That's really going to be my job is to be an observer and a good listener tomorrow.
Right. And to that point, as you yourself, and I saw this as an eyewitness as we came in to do this show, we're working with Danny, who works in Town Hall, and with Jeff Wheeler, our esteemed director, along with Tom Scangula, right? That all of you were getting the table set up, and you made a point of saying, and you just said now that you're there to listen as much as anything, that you're not going to be sitting up here as you would at a town board meeting,
No.
supervising as supervisor. You're going to be sitting with them because you didn't want there to be this perception that you're here to tell them.
Right.
What you want them to do. They're here to tell you. Right.
Right. So we're all going to be sitting on. I'm not
Same
going to
level.
be. Yeah. It's not at a dais. I'm not putting myself or the town board at a dais.
Right.
We're going to be here having a conversation with the people, with the stakeholders. There will be we will present what the studies have shown. We'll present. There'll be a PowerPoint presentation. We'll present our case, so to speak.
Right.
And it really is not only it's the town way of soliciting both the input from the stakeholders in the properties along 202 and soliciting from the higher levels of government attention and hopefully infrastructure funding.
Right. And we have both on this show right now and in previous shows. Faithful viewers will note that we've spent a lot of time talking about this. You've spent a lot of time on it. But I think it's obviously for the reason that it's something that is going to have profound impact, not only on the current citizens of Yorktown, but on future generations. It's a huge project. Right?
Well, yeah, but I'm going to tell you, quite frankly, why did I get myself in the soup to begin with? Well, I do have a certain vision.
Right.
And one of the things is that if you've been around this town for any length of time and traveled on 202, whichever all of us have done, it's a blight. To me, it's a blight, and it's not. And it's a blight not only aesthetically, it's a blight economically, it's psychologically. It defines what Yorktown has been, which is kind of what I've always said, running in my campaign is this kind of got this moribund state.
Yes.
And it's time. It's no longer time for the town board to sit and wait for someone to come in, and then react. It's now for the town to go out and start to be, affirmative in its actions. We don't, I don't think we want this. It's like I can't take it.
Man as hell, right, you're not going to take it anymore, yes.
It's managed to go out there and start to take the bull by the horns. Why have it dictated to us?
Right.
And what's interesting about it, it's not as if we're going out and saying, oh, we want to do something, create some commercial strip that doesn't doesn't otherwise exist. It's not that. All these things, town of Yorktowners should understand that at some point in time, the east-west connection, which is a Bear Mountain Parkway, is going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen, but it's going to happen, it may not happen until the bubble's ready to burst, and the pimple's ready to burst. We really can't take it anymore. And so it's something that's been on the books. It's something that has been part of the long-term regional planning going decades old.
Right.
It's something that's been an intolerable situation for us all. It's going to happen, so that's a fact.
Right.
So it's also a fact that we need to do something about drainage in that area. That's a fact.
Right.
The drainage, the traffic, all these other issues are facts that we have been living with, and whether we want to recognize them or not is something different. But they exist. This is the facts on the ground. You have to start to do something about it because they're not going to go away. They're going to fester. You got to do something about it. And rather than it be dictated to us, which may be a very expensive proposition for the future taxpayers in terms of having to make major capital improvements or being dictated by the state as to what we're going to have to do, this is a way of us stepping to the plate and let's get this done right. Let's control our own destiny on it. Let's be, let's not run from the actual facts on the ground. Let's deal with them. Let's tackle them. Let's approach them in a very positive way and do it collaboratively with both state, maybe federal government and with the private investment.
Right.
And because it's going to have to be done. So let's just try to do it right.
Right.
And I think if you don't take the affirmative steps to do it, then it's going to be dictated to you. So,
yeah.
It's a matter of getting the conversation going and getting it going in earnest.
Yeah, which you already have done, and I think it's going to move along at a very nice pace. On Tuesday, moving right along right now with the calendar that we talked about, on Tuesday, February 28th is a work session, which isn't televised, and there is no courtesy of the floor. And then I believe the next town board meeting will be the following Tuesday, right? I mean, that's, alternating weeks, yeah.
We have a very long work session on
the 28th?
Yes, it's chocked up with stuff.
Oh, okay. And now this is a sort of logical transition, in a sense, from talking about the Economic Development Summit that we want to mention. And again, these are not just about town official events necessarily. If you want to go on the website and post your event or even email, I believe it's supervisor@yorktownny.org, we can mention it on the show. And so on February 29, which is a Wednesday, Yorktown Smart Growth is having a fundraiser and silent auction at Peter Pratt's, right? 7 to 10 p.m. You can go to yorktownsmartgrowth.myevent.com to find out about it. They're going to have music, the Eric Hill Band, and for $50 you get wine, hors d'oeuvres, and half of that amount goes to Yorktown Smart Growth. And then they've been very active, very good citizens and letting their voice be heard about, economic development. And I know that you welcome, their comments as well. So we wish, them well on that benefit that they're throwing. Then we have down here on March 1, there's a Parks and Rec Commission meeting, which anybody, I believe, can attend, right? Anybody can go. I mean, I think if you want to speak, you should get on the agenda beforehand and call them up. But I know that there's some news regarding the Parks and Rec Department Superintendent Jennifer Fava, right?
She's leaving us for greener pastures, I guess.
Well, and when you're in the Parks and Rec Department, you want them to be greener.
Right. So she's going to, I think she got an offer from the town of Hempstead to be the Commissioner of Parks and Rec. And
that, by the way, we were talking, I hail from Long Island, as I believe Jeff Wheeler said he did. I grew up on Long Island, right near the town of Hempstead, and that's a very big town. So that's a big job she has.
No, it's a very. We're sorry to lose her,
But
obviously,
she's been excellent. She's an excellent.
I'm gonna tell you, it speaks well of Yorktown.
Right, she's an
because,
excellent administrator, Jen.
Right, right. It's like we're the minor league club that sent her to the top of the
Yeah, that's
rotation
right.
with the Yankees. So good for her.
Town Amsterdam. You're talking. I mean, that's where Eisenhower Park is. I mean, that's Hofstra's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
She's got it's great, and it's really nice to see someone from our town, as much as we lose, her skills and her professionalism, and she'll be sorely missed in that regard. But it's really nice to know that one of ours is really hit the big time in terms of getting to and the town of Hempstead, it's Commissioner of Parks is a very prestigious position.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know, I happen to know that she's been here actually just about exactly 9 years, because she came in when the town board, very gratefully for our family, renamed Pine Tree Field Harrison Apar Field of Dreams. It was in actually April 2003, and that's when she came in right at that time. So she's been here 9 years now. Yeah.
She's a big asset. We're very happy that we have two guys below her that we think we can look to promote to those positions.
Line of succession.
Line of succession looks like it's a good one too.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, and we wish Jen Favor well in her future travels. Then on March 2nd, I know this is something that you've really helped champion, very justifiably so, and you become an immediate fan of the Yorktown Teen Center open mic, first Friday. So March 2nd, a Friday, obviously, that will take place, and it will be televised again?
Oh, I think we may have run into a scheduling conflict,
Oh,
so
okay,
we're
well.
trying to iron that out, and so hopefully it will be here at Town Hall, but I think we have the soccer training for referees with 60 people that had booked the room ahead of time, so this has been the conflict. But what's nice about these conflicts, it just points to the activity that goes on in the town. So it's a very active town, but hopefully we can work out that conflict. So we're hoping to have them over here. I think eventually they'll be back over to their own home at the YCC. But and I hope they've enjoyed their time at Town Hall, which I think they have. So, but even if they get over to YCC, we're still going to try to figure out a way to get them out there in the public eye somehow. So we'll see how it works out. But there may be a conflict there. But yeah, there's the open mic on that Friday.
Yeah.
And then it just gets busier. I think it's just after that, it's just.
I know. Well, we're getting into the spring season. Yeah. I know. On March 3rd, I mean, Hilltop Hanover Farm, which has a very busy schedule of events and activities always. Where, again, you can check it out at yorktownny.org. But coming up, we thought we'd mention on March 3rd, Hilltop Hanover Farm has a volunteer workshop, and volunteerism has become a big theme of your early administration. And on March 4th, again, one of the treasures of the town, Hart Library, on Sunday, March 4th, has a concert series, 2 p.m., which is free. And then, a big event coming up on March 11. This is the second year I know they've done it. Alliance for Safe Kids, ASK, has their Save a Life conference at the YCCC from 3 to 6 p.m. And you can go to allianceforsafekids.com to find out more about that. And that, I know I went to it last year. That was an extremely well-organized, very important forum talking about at-risk, young people and how parents and caregivers can obviously help prevent bad things from happening.
And unfortunately, we've all been there.
Yeah, right.
Some of us have. Some of us
right.
have, yeah.
But again, that's one of the examples, along with the Yorktown Teen Center. Alliance for Safe Kids does a lot of great work.
Yeah, and one of the, one of the legacies I want to leave, in terms of my administration is to start to, and I think we've done a fairly good job of it up until now, but I want to continue to keep the momentum going and. In really advertising and promoting these groups, because they are great groups. Yes. For people to know that they're out there, it's very important. It's because they do great things. This is a great community, and the more that people out there begin to know what's there, and that the welcoming them at is always out to get everybody else involved in these things. And it's actually people of all skills. We're looking. I know there's accountants doing taxes for the elderly at the senior center.
I realize pro bono work.
Yeah, pro bono.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of this going on in the community, and it needs to be said.
Yes.
Because I think when people realize it, again, it has a synergetic effect. Is that whatever talent that you do have out there, whatever skill that you do have, there is a need for you in some type of volunteerism, and it's a way of giving back to the community. And it's not, and you don't have to be shy in terms of approaching these organizations, and you shouldn't be reserved in saying, well, I may not have a lot of time, I may only have a little bit of time. Well, even a little bit of time is a lot of time for these organizations. So, whatever you can give and whatever you do give, it's very important, especially in these times when people are hurting. It's a good way of just taking your mind off your own issues and projecting outwards is always a good thing. So.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And then we should also mention that, one, on March 25, I mean, we're going to be mentioning these things again, obviously, on upcoming shows as well. The Chamber of Commerce has its home show at Club Fit. But, we also want to make sure that we let everybody know that March 22nd at Lakeland Copper Beach Middle School, they've been kind enough to host the next community affairs meeting.
Right.
And as you've mentioned it, I know on the recent town board meeting, that out of the first meeting that was held, for example, one of the great things that's come out of it is almost overnight there's going to be a farmers market in Yorktown, right?
Yeah, and I think that's starting to be coordinated with the firehouse, and we've had a Relay for Life coordinate with the food pantries in terms of the weights that goods that they use to weight down the luminaries. But it is starting to get there, and I think we want to follow that up. We want to have a nice response on that March 22nd. We're going to try to pull in some organizations that may have missed it the first time around. But again, we're still getting good positive feedback about that, but it's nice to see. I mean, the odd thing about it is people just, once they communicate with each other, some organizations didn't know these other organizations even existed. So, getting them to start coordinating with each other, getting them to start to talk with each other, getting to understand that there is this whole community of volunteerism that is out there and is very vibrant. Isn't a very important thing, and again, it goes back to other people that want to be part of this community.
Right.
If you live here, or you make your living here, whatever, there's a place for you in this, and it really is going to set what I call the Yorktown brand.
Yes,
which is a good one.
And also, we want to mention and give credit to Kathy Quinn, who's helping out with the database, getting, helping us out with the database, which is great. And we also should mention, Supervisor Grace, that you've authorized creation of a Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
And a sort of a separate website apart from the official town website, just for the reasons you stated, for more communication.
Yeah, I think what we hope to do at the next community affairs meeting is try to provide a virtual world kind of
a virtual structure. Yeah, right.
And to try to get input on that, so we can begin to look into it, maybe refine it. And then basically use that as a vehicle to get the word out. As a consortium for advertising and outreach, leaving intact all the autonomy of the other organizations.
Right. And we discovered that there's something called a community foundation. So this has a very credible precedent.
Yeah, and it's something that's it's just it's trying to maybe kick the beehive, get things
right
moving.
Buzzing.
Yeah, buzzing, right. And the way you do it, what you want to do is just like any other business. You know, it's a matter of advertising, it's a matter of getting out there, it's a matter of being in the public eye, it's a matter of, you know, constantly bringing these things up. And for every individual organization to do it can be difficult. So we want to create this vehicle so that you know, we can create this kind of umbrella organization that can start to do that and promote it. And reach out and pull in volunteers, reach out and pull in, the most important thing for these organizations is funding.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, the grand design is to get all the stuff, you know, between the economic development and the charitable, all to overlap.
Together.
Because
yes,
we, you know, hopefully what we'll do is we'll pull in this private investment.
Right.
And part of, I think, the goodwill for that private commercial, investment is to reach out, is also to reach down to what is our NFPs, our not-for-profits, our charitable organizations. I'm going to make a real, my goal is to make a real big, plug with all these new, if we can excite new commercial development, that they make sure they know where to go when they want to make a donation.
That's exactly right. Yeah, very right. And we have to wrap it up now, and we'll talk about this on future shows. But the icing on the cake, in a sense, and again, a lot of work. All the work is ahead of us. But the icing on the cake is that the Attorney General of New York State, Eric Schneiderman himself, has issued this basically proclamation that the state needs to support its nonprofits a lot more.
It has to be regulatory friendly to the NFPs. So
your timing is impeccable.
Yeah. Well, what happens is once you start having the conversation, and with your constituencies, and you listen to what's out there and you listen to what their needs, I think, a lot of it is they don't want to be babysat. They don't want the nanny state. They want to do for themselves. So it's a matter of just providing opportunity for everybody to do for themselves. And that's what this country was, made this country great. We can do it ourselves, and it just the enthusiasm and the self-esteem that it builds, and the matter of pride. All these things are very positive things. Right. And we have a community. It's just I look at it ready to burst at the seams. Right. So it's a matter of just funneling that enthusiasm, funneling that energy, and accommodating it, being a facilitator, which is what government should be.
Well, and to your point, very well taken. It's more like it's both enabling and getting out of their way, right? At the same time.
Absolutely. It's really, that's where we should look at ourselves. We're a service organization. We have, what are the public goods that we have to take care of, sewers, roads, and that type of infrastructure. But the other things is all we have to do is, we have to feed and water the private sector, both commercial private sector and the not-for-profit charitable private sector, because they are the best at it. They are passionate about what they do, and it just creates a better sense of community. So, and I think the tone. That tone has to be set at the local level, because hopefully that becomes the contagion that gets to the state level, and that's the contagion that gets to the federal level.
Right. Okay, and on that note, on that grace note, as we like to say, thank you for watching, and be sure to be with us next time and every time, because Yorktown is your town. Thank you.
Thank you.